Hey, what's up? This is Seth with SethPerler.com. I hope you're having a great day. Sorry about the t-shirt and looking so schleppy. If my mom was watching this, she probably is because she watches my videos and my blogs. She's probably saying, honey, you look like a schlep. Why are you dressed like that? Um, just kidding. Hi, Mom. Hi, everybody. I got an email that I think is really interesting here, and it goes like this. My 11-year-old daughter is drowning in sixth grade. She's a very smart kid, but too many moving parts. I'm trying to figure out how to get the school on board with helping her. It's becoming a full-time job for me. Okay, so first of all, this is the time in the semester. This is mid-October when your child is probably going through the dip. And if your child is in sixth grade, this is the time when a lot of interesting patterns start to happen, because in fifth grade, there was a lot of hand-holding, a lot of support. And in sixth grade, the game completely changes. Sometimes teachers are really supportive and sometimes they try to be, but they're not. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to break this down. I'm going to look at sort of the teacher's part and then the parents' part. And I'm going to give you guys tips and insights on both sides of it. So first of all, you have to understand that this dip pattern is not going to go away. Your daughter is going to experience it in 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and your job, her job, the teacher's job is to help make the dip smaller. It's not probably going to go away, but we want to help them get systems in place so that they don't have as much of a dip and they don't have to swim upstream as much. Now, some kids can really turn it around and get these habits really strong so that they're not experiencing it at all. And when I say some kids, I mean some right-brained kids who struggle with executive function. Kids with left-brain kids often have no trouble. Many of them don't experience the dip in any way because they're really, quote, on top of things. But that's not who we're talking about here. Now, if your child is going through this thing where there are so many moving parts and they're overwhelmed, then the problem is that one of the problems is that their resistance is going to increase. So if they don't figure this out, they are going to become more resistant because they're going to associate school with more unpleasant things, with more emotional pain, less emotional safety. It's going to be a not fun place for them, and they're going to associate that with learning in school and education. We don't want that to happen. So again, one of the problems is that as there is more overwhelm, the resistance will increase, and then that becomes harder and harder for parents to deal with, to get them to be, quote, motivated as the resistance increases. How do you get the resistance to get smaller? How do you accomplish this stuff? Well, you have to make things concrete. Okay, if she's swimming in detail, if she's drowning in these details, how do you get her to learn to manage the details? We have to make it from abstract to concrete. I'll explain that a little bit right now. Abstract is this: I have to do homework tonight. I don't know how long it's going to take. It's overwhelming. That's all I know. That's abstract. Abstraction feels very unsafe because it's not concrete. There's no endpoint. You want to resist it because you don't know how much time and energy it's going to take. Concrete means I have homework today. I have it in 4 classes. It's this, 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 and this. I'm going to be spending about this much time on it. I'm going to start at this time and I'm going to end at this time, and I'll get everything back into my backpack and I'll be done. That's concrete. So when getting from abstract to concrete takes time and practice, and oftentimes when you're not getting a clear message from the teacher and you have to rely on a kid who's not great at planners to tell you accurately what's going on, that's very difficult. Anyhow, let me move on to teachers. So I'm going to talk about 2 types of teachers. There are 2 main categories of teachers I'm going to talk about right now. One is right brain teachers, 2 is left brain teachers. Right brain teachers tend to be more creative, more free, more chill, more relaxed, more loose, and so that's your right brain teachers. The vast majority of teachers I've noticed are left brain. They're very structured, organized people. They do school well. They systematize well. Now, within the left brain teachers, there are 2 types of teachers: those that understand right brain people and those that don't. The left brain teachers that are very structured, that understand right brain kids, well, they're often awesome for right brain kids because they bring so much structure, but they also bring the compassion and understanding to help those kids be successful. Left brain teachers who do not get right brain people often will say things like this: I'm trying to teach your kid responsibility. I'm just trying to, they have to follow these rules. I need to give them these rules. I'm going to mark them down half off if it's late, blah, blah, blah. They're very rigid and they're very strict. And and they're not flexible, and they don't understand what's going on with executive function. And oftentimes, these left brain teachers who do not get it, they're not as compassionate. They don't understand. They think that it's a matter of that your kid's not trying, that your kid doesn't care about school, that your kid is lazy, that your kid is unmotivated. All these things are lies. So there are two big mistakes that teachers will make. One is that they have this misunderstanding and don't understand executive function, and they think that they're teaching responsibility, and they think that they're just being lazy and they're blaming it on the wrong things. Mistake number two is that they don't understand the time and energy that is required for some kids to process and to do their work. They don't understand that your child is coming home and spending 3 hours on something that a highly structured left brain kid will take 20 or 30 minutes to do. They don't understand that your kid is absolutely exhausted. They don't understand that your kid is emotionally worn down, that after a day of school they don't have the energy and it takes so much for that. So they can't see inside your house, and they don't understand how deeply in need your kid is of downtime. And so those are the two mistakes. One, not understanding executive function. Two, not understanding the time and energy it takes for a lot of these kids to process. Now, there are two solutions that I have here for teachers. One of the solutions is that they learn about executive function. How can they learn? Well, I have a PDF that you can print and share with them, or you can look on my site and use that stuff, but you can do anything. Now, a lot of teachers will, and principals and counselors will think that they understand executive function, but they do not. They very vaguely understand it. They know the word and throw it around, but they don't actually get it. So the solution number one is for them to really get it, for them to really take time and trainings and what have you in school and value learning about executive function, because executive function is what's affecting all of their kids that are getting D's and F's, that have Asperger's, autism, dyslexia, ADHD, bipolar, sensory integration issues, addiction issues. All of these things, these kids are struggling with executive function on some level, but teachers don't know what it is. Why don't teachers know what it is? Well, that's a whole nother video and a whole nother story. But my thinking is that this system, we're so driven by standards and by testing and by the wrong things that we don't care about that, because that's working with executive function is hard. It takes time and energy and understanding. Working with numbers and data collection and tests is easy, and it's highly profitable for massive companies that are profiting off of education. So that's my take on that. Solution number one was learn about EF. Solution number two for teachers is to really focus on meeting the needs of these kids. And many teachers do this really well. Even if there is no IEP or 504, many teachers make accommodations and make modifications for these kids. They don't assign busy work. They give less homework. They have more engaging assignments. They have shorter assignments. They give kids options for products. Most teachers just think of products as tests, quizzes, exams, and papers. Like, those are the main products, but there's so many ways to show their learning. A lot of great teachers who are meeting their needs are doing project-based assignments. They use less boring assignments. They don't depend on the textbooks. They don't do a bunch of stupid worksheets. Now, if a teacher doesn't do this stuff, you have to advocate to get these things. And I have a few advocacy things on my site that might be helpful for you. But you have to really advocate to get these things if a teacher is not the type of teacher that really knows how to meet the needs, and that is shaming them and saying, you're just lazy, your kid's not trying, your kid's off task, they just, don't care about school. Now, for parents, what can parents do? Well, parents obviously can understand executive function for one thing. So you have to really understand executive function. Look at my article on executive function and print that PDF and really soak it in. Okay, so that's number one. Really understand executive function. What I produced on that paper is enough for you to get a good grasp of it. That was the goal of that article. Two, you have to understand the systems that these kids need. And there's a finite amount of systems. And I think when parents and kids can wrap their heads around, these are the systems we need to master, then it at least gives you a place to start to implementing the systems. What I mean by systems is a system for organizing papers. I prefer color-coded folders. A system of using a planner. I do not like school planners. I like monthly planners, yada, yada. This is all in my free course that I send out when you sign up for my blog. Refer to that stuff. It's good. It explains the systems. Okay, systems for advocacy, systems for for managing the schoolwork. So there is a finite amount, and once you get that, then you can start refining the systems. Two, you have to understand that for these kids, you have to really look at personalizing systems. Personalizing them for your child's idiosyncrasies, your child's uniqueness, your child's unique processing style, your child's unique brain. Okay, you can't just do what everybody else does. For example, the 3-ring binder that a lot of schools force kids to use, for kids who struggle with executive function, 3-ring binders are horrible because, as you said, your kid is swimming or drowning in details. 3-ring binders require way too much time and effort to manage the details. Now, structured, organized kids love 3-ring binders. These kids don't. They don't need to be managing all those details. They need to be learning and then having time for themselves, hopefully at night. As you probably know, there's little, if any, research that shows that any homework before high school does any good whatsoever. So a lot of homework is busy work and is not helpful. So if your kid really needs downtime, you need to advocate for that. Anyhow, the point was the nuance of systems. The systems have to be personalized to these kids, not the same systems as everybody else. Very, very important. Number 3, for parents, advocate. Look at my advocation blogs, and when you advocate, like, CC people, like, really fight for your kid. Keep them short, keep them bulleted, keep them to the point, keep them solution focused, keep them focused on that you guys are all on the same team trying to help your kid. But do be the squeaky wheel. Don't be shamed by messages like helicopter parent and stuff like that. Do not listen to that shame that our culture has. Ignore it. Do what your kid needs. This is a critical time. 6th grade is an absolutely critical time. They are transitioning hugely from 5th grade. They're absolutely bombarded with tons of new teachers, tons of new systems. It's overwhelming to their nervous system. It's overwhelming emotionally. It's overwhelming socially. And it's even overwhelming physically. These kids are worn down. 6th grade is hard for a lot of kids. So advocate. Listen to your gut because it's probably right. But just keep them short. Keep them team-oriented. That you're all on the same team and focused on the actions that need to be taken to support your child. Next, routines. Parents can help their kids have routines, making a daily plan. I have these on my website somewhere. If you look up daily plan or today's plan and look at how I teach how to do this. Kids don't know how to make a daily plan, and then they say, I got to do homework. They don't even know where to start. They have to learn to plan so that they can have a starting point and so that it can become concrete, what I was talking about at the very beginning of this video. So print off the daily plans from my site, use them, they're free. Just take advantage of it. It's there. They need routines for going to bed. They need routines for the Sunday overhaul or the weekly overhaul that I talk about on my site. If you don't do that weekly overhaul and your kid's in 6th grade, you're really missing a great opportunity for them to learn how to reset all their systems on a weekly basis, okay? These kids do not even know where to start. I break it all down for you. So, routines. And then finally, I want to talk about chunking. You chunk in 2 ways, by task and by time. This is a great way to chunk by task. You write all the tasks down. A lot of times these kids feel like it's too big of a task, it's overwhelming, so you want to chunk it down in small pieces and chunk by time. Can you work on your homework for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Chunk it down so that it's not overwhelming. How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. These kids have to eat the elephant. They have to do so much. It's absolutely overwhelming to them. It has to not feel overwhelming. It has to be bite-sized, or they're going to get overwhelmed, and they're going to get more overwhelmed in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and they're going to sink, and they're going to go through the same patterns, and they're going to get more discouraged, and they're really going to struggle. And then what's going to happen is what happened to me, where I failed out of college. I almost failed out of a second college, but I dropped out of college. I felt like a failure. I didn't know that I could do anything with my life. I didn't know how to manage this stuff, and I had to learn all that. So you can totally bypass and avoid that if you give them these structures. So chunk by time by task. So to recap, teachers, there are 2 types, left and right brain, and within the left brain, there's some that understand right brainers and some that don't. They make the 2 mistakes that these teachers sometimes make is that they do not understand executive function, and they blame it on the wrong things like laziness, teaching there, and they're trying to teach them responsibility, and they're just looking at it the wrong way. Mistake number two is that these teachers don't understand the time and energy that is required for these kids to process, and they just think they need to work harder or something, and they're missing the boat. The solutions are that they learn about executive function and that they have alternate ways of meeting a kid's needs, and they focus on those. For parents, what is going to be helpful is to understand that there are a finite amount of systems. Make sure that you help your child develop those systems in a way that is personalized to them and tailored to them. Advocate for them and be the squeaky wheel, and don't worry about it. Like, say what you need to say and speak your truth and get the support you need, and don't stop pushing for it. Okay. And implement routines like the daily plan and the Sunday night overhaul, and chunk things down by time and by task. Now, I know that was a lot in this video. Don't worry about memorizing all of it. Just try to implement whatever you can. Okay. It's a lot. This is a very packed question. It was a short question, but there's so much to it. So just hang in there, parents. Keep pushing forward. Keep pushing forward. Keep pushing forward. Listen to what your kids need. Trust your gut, and good luck to you. I'll see you soon.